is currently living with me. And I want him to live close, but not as close as he currently is. He couldn't afford it then, but he can afford it now. Would you be interested in working with him? I wound up taking her son. I wound up selling him a house within an 8-week time period. At closing, what do you think I discovered? She wasn't living just with one son. She had 3 others. All of the home buying age. She wanted them to live close, but not as close as they currently were. Now watch this. Over the next 2.5 years, I wound up selling all 4 of her sons' homes. Now you think about that. Most agents would have taken Mrs. O'Kane and she would have went into the garbage can. You'd have thrown $50,000 away. But because I plan on being in this business for the long haul, and I have a strategy and a system and resources to use, I captured her information. She went into the database and optimized that lead. I have a question for you. How many $50,000 clients have you thrown out over your career? Yeah, too many. Yeah, too many. So you got to make it where you're implementing the entire system. Because here are the benefits of a handwritten personal note. Here's what you need to know. The note it's always read. Why? Because it takes time, your most precious commodity, and it has a lingering impact. It says something about you that you can't say yourself. Now, and if you want to be successful by writing personal notes, you have to write them every day. You have to write personal notes every day. It needs to be like brushing your teeth or showering or eating or exercising. It needs to be done how often? Every day. And here's the commitment I'd like you to make, is to write 3 personal notes each and every day. Let's say it together. I will write 3 notes to my database each working day. Each working day. Now, on page 27, there's some sample notes here and people on who to write it to. The key is that you're doing it every day. So you think about it. You build up your database, you market to your database. And here's the last point, point number 3. You got to manage relationships. You got to manage relationships. You got to manage relationships. Now this is pretty interesting. Have you noticed, being in the real estate business, you're an independent contractor. But it's kind of an odd sensation you get when you've had a job prior to getting into real estate, isn't it? And being an independent contractor and selling real estate, it's kind of like you have a job, but you kind of don't. Is that fun? It's kind of like you have a boss, but you kind of don't. But it's kind of like you get paid, and it's kind of like you don't. So here's what I found. You can write this down. I'm going to give you a money-making phrase right here, and it goes like this. You got to run your business like a business, but you must treat it like it's a job. You got to run your business like a business, but you must treat it like it's a job. You got to run your business like a business, but you got to treat it like it's a job. And if you think about the job that you had prior to you getting into real estate, there was a whole bunch of structure. There was accountability. There were items and tasks that you needed to get done because you were going to report to someone. Isn't that true? But you get into real estate business, I mean, you could be gone for weeks on end and no one even knows you're missing. Isn't that true? So here it is. You are your own boss. I know it's a scary thought, but you are your own boss, but you're also your own employee. You got to run your business like a business, treat it like a job. I'll tell you, the biggest jump in my production was a result of a shift in perspective. It's when I started running my business like a business, and I started to treat it like it was a job. And when you have a job, you have a schedule on what time you get into the office and when you leave. When you have a job, you have duties and a job description that you have when you go into the office. I started taking that on. I gave myself a job description. I was #1 lead generator in my office. I was going to focus. That's my job, to generate leads. I was in the office before 9 o'clock each and every day. Like not when I felt like it, but I had a structure in place. Now that was back in a time before we had Referral Maker CRM. How many of you are currently using Referral Maker CRM? Can I see a show? Many of you. With great success. Referral Maker CRM is the ultimate tool to manage yourself and relationships. So #1, it's a management tool. Referral Maker CRM, it's a management tool. So here it is right here. You know, you talk about building up a database, sorting and qualifying. Brian gave you the A+A, B, C. In the past, I would sit down with a piece of paper and A, B. It would take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to sort through a database. Today, less than 36 minutes. You can sort through your entire database of 100 people in less than 36 minutes through the power of technology. It's all built into Referral Maker CRM. I don't know how anyone would do it without the power of that technology. There's also, in Referral Maker CRM, it has the GPS built right into the CRM. So for example, have you ever been in a position where sometimes in real estate there's a lot of downtime? Like you might have an appointment at 9 o'clock that you drive out 45 minutes to get to, and then your next appointment's at 1 o'clock. And you have this big gap in your schedule. The agents in my office, what they do is when they're on Referral Maker CRM, their clients will actually be visually displayed on the GPS so they know where they're at. They might have 6 or 7 clients within 5 or 6 minutes away. So we call it gap time Popeyes. They always keep extra Popeyes in their trunk so they can get out and do a gap time Popeye. Makes it more efficient. So there's a whole management aspect to it. You owe it to yourself to look into it. Here's the next power of Referral Maker CRM. It's a tracking tool. It's a tracking tool. Now this is what we used to do. This is, how many of you have ever had you've ever performed blue collar work, or you come from a family of blue collar people, or you know someone who's blue collar, or a blue collar person built your house? Okay, great. Yeah, you know what happens? I grew up laying concrete with my father on the south side of Chicago. My dad was the boss. Me and my 4 other brothers, we were the employees. And we would, in the summer, we would tear out driveways and sidewalks. We would tear it all out. We'd pour the new concrete. And within an 8-hour time period, we'd be able to see our work. And I don't know about you, but there is a sense of accomplishment when you could visually see the work that you did. Have you ever had that where you cut the grass or you did something? Ooh, it was a little bit of work, but you can see it. The most difficult transition that I made into real estate is that you can work day after day after day and not necessarily see the work that you do. And you know what happens? It demotivates people. It's like, another day, nothing happened. Another day, nothing happened. And I have nothing to show for it. It was a difficult transition for me. So you know what I started to do? I would get these little index cards. And on the index cards, I would write calls. And in the early days, I would build up a big database, and my goal was to make 25 calls a day. And I would make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the way up to 25. And to me, the sense of accomplishment and my motivation stayed because I was actually able to see my work. So I would take that card, and for the day, I would put it into a little filing box. And then the next day, do the same. Same thing with personal notes. So what would happen is I'd actually see the work that I did. Huge transition. And when I started to do that, I just felt a sense of accomplishment. It kept me motivated. You ever lose motivation in this business? There's a chance That's happening because you're not getting the feedback and all the activity.